Do you feel comfortable speaking at all to Canada in Afghanistan?
Well, I think the Canadians have played an enormous role in Afghanistan. They were there right at the very beginning in 2003 when NATO first went there with the ISAF mission. They've been in the most dangerous part of the country now for, 8 long years. With loss of life at one stage. It distresses me to say this, but it was true. At one stage, Canada had the largest number of casualties proportionate to its population of ISAF, so the Canadian sacrifice is a large one. But I must say the Canadian contribution has been big. As you know, your country is one that at one stage had participated in every UN peacekeeping mission that had been organised, and these skills of good soldiering coupled with an awareness of civilian reconstruction, of dealing with local cultures, being able to relate to the community, those are skills which many other NATO countries didn't have before Afghanistan and have had to learn. So my hope would be that, although Canada has said very clearly that it will withdraw next year, that given the investment that you have made in Afghanistan in terms of education, reconstruction, development programs, the training of the Afghan National Army and the police, that maybe in other ways, maybe civilian, non-military, Canada can continue to remain engaged, make a contribution, and use that wealth of experience for the further development of Afghanistan.
Okay, and with the troop pullout in 2011 that's been set, does NATO predict that the situation will alter greatly in Kandahar, where Canada's been stationed?
Well, I think in an alliance which is in an operation for several years, like Afghanistan has been, or Bosnia was before, or Kosovo, where that it's going to be a decade, if not longer, before you have success. It's only natural that there should be rotation. It's not easy for countries, particularly with very tight budgetary situations, to keep troops there year after year without some relief. And as you know, the United States, with its surge, has been able to replace many contingents in different parts of Afghanistan who have been modifying their position. On the other hand, though, an alliance like NATO, it has to be said, needs burden sharing in order to function. In other words, some countries are big, some countries are small, some are medium, but over a period of time there has to be a sense that everybody's making their contribution. So on the one hand, I think we have to recognise the natural desire for rotation, but on the other hand, I think over a period of time it's important that everybody contributes, even though, as I say, that contribution in a complicated mission like Afghanistan, with a military side, a training side, an education side, a development side, a governance side, those contributions can take different forms.
Okay. One of the really common sentiments in sort of the anti-war movement in Canada is that Canada shouldn't have been involved to begin with, because are we necessarily benefiting from this mission? We're not necessarily linked with the United States, so what have we gotten out of these contributions, as you said, which have been quite large?
Well, I think that the reason why NATO engaged in Afghanistan in 2003 was that there was a genuine recognition by everybody, not just pressure from the United States, but genuine recognition by everybody that to have an Afghanistan which was in the grip of the Taliban, who would be allied to Al-Qaeda, forming a kind of Al-Qaeda terrorism Grand Central Station with permanent training facilities, a magnet for all of the wannabe terrorists from across the globe. That would not just be bad for Afghanistan and for Pakistan and other countries, but would obviously create a blowback throughout Europe. And let's face it, we've seen that terrorist organisations don't respect neutrality, they don't respect small countries, medium-sized countries. A couple of days ago, Norway, which is often a very quiet country, arrested 3 Al-Qaeda suspect terrorists. Canada has had a number of arrests of terrorists operating on its territory. So to think that somehow these people just go to the United States and don't operate in other countries and not going to attack other countries, that somehow one can opt out of this and be safe. I think this is a complete illusion, and I think the Canadian government rightly recognised that it was its problem and not just a problem of the US. Remember on 9/11, the citizens of 65 different countries, including many of them Muslim countries, died in the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center was attacked not as an American target as much as a symbol of the international globalized system. And so my mind is that as we face a common threat, the only way we're going to defeat it is through solidarity and common action. We're not in Afghanistan only to show solidarity with the United States. That's not, in the long run, a solid basis for this mission. It has to be because everybody recognises that it's a common challenge that needs to be met through a common approach.